Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a look at the master blueprint for a global spiritual movement. We're talking about the strategy that took an ancient philosophy and managed to build it a home in our modern, super-connected world.
So let's just dive right in. We're going to explore how one person, Master Hsing Yun, methodically transformed humanistic Buddhism from just a concept into a massive global phenomenon. The big question is, how in the world did he pull it off? Well, the answer lies in this really brilliant two-part strategy. You can think of it like building a computer. You need the physical hardware, right? But you also need the software to make it all run. We're going to break down this blueprint piece by piece, and we'll start with that physical foundation. Okay, first up, the hardware. And this isn't just about putting up buildings. It's about creating a vast, interconnected network of temples that act as the physical backbone for the entire global movement. And the whole vision was guided by this honestly beautiful mission statement. Buddha's light shines on 3,000 realms, Dharma water flows across 5 continents. This wasn't just some poetic line. It was the actual driving force behind a massive worldwide construction effort. The whole journey really kicked off in America, and it took a full decade of just pure perseverance, navigating countless challenges to build the Hsi Lai Temple in California. When it finally opened in 1988, it wasn't just an opening, it was proof that this whole idea could actually work. And that kickstarted everything that came next. And, after that first big success, the floodgates just opened. The sheer scale of the network that grew from that is kind of staggering. From North and South America to Europe, Africa, Oceania, and all across Asia, a physical foothold was established on every single inhabited continent. And this strategy was so intentional, right down to the names of the temples. I mean, these weren't just labels, they were declarations of purpose. Hsi Lai Temple literally means Buddha's teachings coming to the West. And maybe the most poetic of all, Hsi Temple in the Netherlands, meaning a lotus in Holland, was intentionally placed in a red light district. What a powerful symbol of purity rising from worldly surroundings. But of course, buildings are really just empty shells without people. So now let's move on to the software and see how this incredible hardware was brought to life, creating a vibrant, living, breathing community. So, the human network is the Buddhist Light International Association, or BLIA for short. And its scale, well, it's just staggering. We're talking about over 5 million members in more than 100 countries, all connected by this one shared mission. The core philosophy that's driving this human software is a concept they call international character. And it's a simple idea, but really profound. To see beyond the lines we draw between countries, races, and even religions, and to operate on the principle that we are all basically one global family. Master Hsing Yun took this entire philosophy and boiled it down into a powerful, direct instruction for every single member of the community. Be a coexisting global citizen. It's really a call to action, asking people to live with a sense of shared responsibility for each other and for the planet. And the organization itself is guided by this really clear purpose. The goals on the left, they're pretty aspirational, right? Achieving world peace, building a better world. But the character on the right, that's what makes it practical. It's all about being rooted in tradition, but universal and modern in how it's applied, with a fundamentally international scope. So, how does this global hardware and software actually work on the ground? How does it adapt to all these different cultures? This is where the operating system of localization comes in, and we're going to look at 4 really fascinating case studies. First, let's go back to the USA. The challenge there was huge. How to bridge a major cultural gap. The solution wasn't to build a wall and isolate, but to integrate. And they did that by focusing on 4 key principles: fusing cultures, communicating openly, serving the community, and simply spreading joy. Now in practice, this meant creating programs that served everybody. A Chinese school helped immigrants preserve their heritage, sure, but a youth orchestra and volunteer days brought the entire community together, no matter their background. They effectively became a bridge, not an island. Okay, now let's jump over to Brazil. Here, the mission started with a very direct response to a really serious social challenge: poverty and crime. After a resident monk was robbed multiple times, he didn't retreat. Instead, he made this absolutely incredible resolution. And this just brilliantly illustrates their strategy in action. They translated texts, they adapted local festivals, but most importantly, they launched the Children of Zulai program. It provided education and, this is Brazil, soccer training for kids from the nearby favelas. They even offered a path to university. They literally turned a problem into a profound opportunity for change. The Philippines, on the other hand, was a completely different kind of challenge. How do you introduce Buddhism in a nation that's so deeply rooted in Catholicism? The insight was a philosophy of inclusion, not competition. Master Hsing Yun offered this beautiful analogy, reframing faith as an expansion of love, not some kind of choice between two sides. And their most remarkable success came from this mindset. They created a full-on Broadway-style musical about the Buddha's life. Now get this, it was produced, directed, and performed almost entirely by Filipino Catholics. It became a national artistic treasure. It just proved that cultural and religious bridges could be built through shared art and values. Amazing! And finally, New Zealand. Here, the focus was on deep cultural harmony right from the very beginning. The design of the temple itself is a fusion of traditional Chinese architecture and modern Western aesthetics. But it's more than that. They actively integrated the local culture, inviting Maori groups to perform traditional dances at major Buddhist ceremonies, creating this really unique and shared spiritual space. All right, let's get to the final piece of the puzzle. Let's see how all of this grassroots, local work, this hardware, this software, this operating system ended up elevating humanistic Buddhism to a respected voice on the global stage. Through decades of just consistent work in education, disaster relief, and cultural exchange, the BLIA earned official recognition from the United Nations. This basically granted them a seat at the table, where they now actively contribute to global conversations on everything from women's rights to climate change, bringing a unique Buddhist perspective to modern world problems. But this whole story comes with a really crucial piece of perspective. Master Hsing Yun saw this entire global expansion not as some short-term project, but as a multi-generational commitment. True integration, he believed, isn't something that happens overnight. It requires 50 years of patient, deep cultivation. So what's the big takeaway here? This story offers a powerful blueprint for how any ancient tradition can really thrive in the modern world. It takes a clear vision, solid infrastructure, and, probably most importantly, a deep, flexible, and genuinely helpful connection to people, wherever it is they happen to call home.